Oh, man, been excited for this one. We actually tried to get it going last year, but my man came back for some business.
To do stacking pennies. And he's going to race while he's here as well.
He's going to, he actually came all over, been here for 2 weeks waiting for this interview, and then he's going to happen around Chicago next week. Please welcome to Noncents Garage 2024 V8 Supercar Champion, Will Brown.
Let's go.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in, buddy.
Thank you.
It was funny. I told this story before you came in. It's like Sunday or Saturday night, I'm buckling in, and you're kind of like locked in, and like in my peripheral, I saw you walking, and you're like, give me a thumbs up. I'm like, hey, you still good for the podcast Monday? And you're like, yeah, bro. Like, I'm coming. Don't worry. Just do your job. Yeah. So I appreciate you jumping in. What do you think, just in general? United States, Atlanta last week. Let's talk about that first. You put out a tweet, said, I want to go down to Atlanta and get the full experience. Want to tailgate a little bit. So did you find anybody to tailgate with?
Yeah. I was pretty keen to have some beers. I thought I want to go down there and check it out. We don't have the tailgating in Australia where people show up early and drink beers at their car. So I was
Why not?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's just never been a big thing. Everyone just rolls in for the race, and stays for the race. But
usually
over here,
go for the tailgate and end up just stumbling into the race.
Yeah. So I wanted to go down, check it out, and have some beers with some local fans. And we put the tweet out. I said to Ainsley, I wonder if we'll get anyone, and got a fair few people keen, and had some Jello shots, had some moonshine.
Oh, okay, then.
I saw it. Plug your YouTube channel. I watched it last night. What's your?
I think Swool TV.
So I watched you guys documented it.
Yep.
My favorite part is after the race, they go to Waffle House. It was closed, and they go to IHOP. And I don't know which one, but they come out and they go, there's enough calories in this bag for a week. It had me dying laughing.
Or like an American says, just for a breakfast.
Yeah. I feel like I've just been going to the gym just to stay the same weight this week. Just we've been eating, I don't know what we've had. We had, what's the one, the burger shop in LA that's really good?
In-N-Out.
In-N-Out, yeah, that was good. So we've been trying it all out. It's been good.
See, you fly in from Australia
to
LA. Did you spend a couple of days out there?
Yeah, we just spent one night there, and then travelled over here the next day. Yeah.
That's more than enough. So, before we get too far away from Atlanta, what does an Australian brain think when they see something like happen in Atlanta, like the wreck on the backstretch, like that racing in general?
Yeah, that was something we don't see very often, to be honest, in our sort of category. But that was obviously a massive wreck, I'm sure, even in your guys' terms. But it was interesting. It sort of, for me, it took out a fair few of the front guys and that sort of stuff. So it was awesome to see, and everyone loves watching a wreck. But I think it made the race probably, you probably lost a fair few of the front running guys.
Like 20 of them. What interesting stat too. It was like 9 out of the 11 winners of this year were all caught up in that wreck.
Yeah, really?
So that actually made me feel a little bit better. Of like, okay, if all the good guys got wrecked, I don't feel too bad about my day being early, or ending early rather. But got a big week, man. Driving that 13 Colleague hot rod. You were just talking about before we fired it up here about sim time. So you're going to leave here, going to go to the sim. And is it a general V8 supercar thing that guys just get really good at right foot braking, or is that what the cars require?
Yeah, I think it stems back to a fair while ago. Like I remember Roland Dane that used to own 888 Red Bull Ampol Racing, who I drive for now. I was 18, and I was driving in what would be our Xfinity, and I used to left foot brake then. Okay. And he sort of recognized me, and we were going through looking at how I could get a contract with them, and he said, I won't take you on board unless you right foot brake. So there's actually only been one person probably in supercars in the last, I think, about 10 to 15 years that has been quite successful left foot braking.
Who was it?
It was Fabian Coulthard. I believe he would, but pretty much everyone over there, Shane does an amazing job at what he does, don't get me wrong, but everyone over there is right foot braking, heel and towing, and doing that. Shane just does a really good job at how he modulates the clutch.
So we talked a little bit with SVG post-race after Mexico, and they were making a big deal about on the broadcast about how he's like using the clutch to keep rear attachment, and he's like, not like these cars don't really need it so much.
Yep.
What's the difference between these cars, because you drove a Sonoma last year, driving the 33, versus a V8 supercars? Why does it require more precise braking?
Yeah.
Right foot braking.
I still think you can. I still think you can use it a bit in these cars. It just, like, I've been looking at a lot of footage from last year of different guys at Chicago, and you really hear when they go for the down change, the rears start chattering, and you hear that. And hopefully, which at Sonoma, I felt like you could modulate that a bit, is you can try and prevent that from happening and use the clutch to modulate that if you feel that it is locking rears, and just allows you to have more stability into the corner.
And I'll get into the weeds a little bit technically, does it allow you to run more rear bias and not lock fronts up to go a little bit deeper into the zone and then mitigate your rear lock with the clutch?
I'm not sure so much more rear bias. Like, usually you rear lock into, then you run on, and then you front lock, you know what I mean? So sometimes, I'm not sure so much if we want to run more rear bias because of it. It's probably very similar whether you're left foot or right foot brake. But it just gives you more stability into the corner. I think a bit better tyre life. You're not chirping the rears and heating them up and locking them into the corner. So it's a lot of that sort of stuff.
All right, we'll zoom out of the weeds a little bit technically because there's so much interesting things to talk to you about. Just the overall excitement of the weekend. I feel like anytime anybody from the VA Supercars comes over, the cars are comparable. Obviously, right side drive to left side drive, but you guys are really familiar with road course or street courses, and that's something the NASCAR guys are not.
Yep.
Everybody saw SVG come in and just absolutely annihilate the field. Is there a little bit of like, I think I can go have a top 5 day here? Like, what's the expectations coming into the weekend?
Yeah, you want to go well. I don't know. It's hard putting expectations on it because I think you saw what Shane did his first year, but then from there, it's not just been easy wins. You know what I mean? Even on road courses. But felt like Sonoma, we were having a good run until we had the things go wrong in qualifying. That we're third in practice, and then had a bit of a tough qualifying. But yeah, I'm probably not going to put a number on it just yet and say. But if we're in that top 10 to start with, and that we'd be very happy. But yeah, it's sort of an unknown for us right now, but it is very similar to what we do in Australia. For us, the road course Chicago is very similar to probably 5 of our race meetings. Like, we've got Gold Coast that is super tight, probably even tighter than Chicago. Adelaide, we run a lot of those road course, street course, type events. So it's something that we're pretty familiar with over there.
Are you hoping for rain or not hoping for rain?
I'd be happy with rain. The only thing is it can lead to, anyone can make a mistake in the rain, especially around a track like that. So we saw last year Shane get taken out at no fault to his own.
On the NASCAR races, it's more like everyone can make it. Not anyone, but everyone will make a mistake at some point.
You just don't want to be that guy. Like,
you just don't want to be that guy that's in front of the guy that misses the brake zone and cleans you out. Like, it just becomes like a little bit of a shit show at that point.
Dude, our drivers on wet really make it a shit show. Absolutely.
You could tell that it's the same. Like Shane was in here. He said that he's going to the summer shootout race legend cars to learn how to left foot brake. And it's the same as for our drivers. It's like, they don't really know how to race in the rain because we've never had to do it. What's like, obviously the driving the race cars is the big thing, but like, what are the other nuances to the race? Like pit road, stuff that you don't have to deal with that you find challenging here that you don't have to deal with in Australia?
Yeah, that's going to be, for me, it's about trying not to get a penalty in pit road, I think you guys call it, because for us, we break into the pit lane, press a button, that limits us to 40 kilometers an hour, like a GT car or anything like that, and then we pull into our pits and our crew's already there. They don't run out in front of the car. There's just little things like last weekend I was watching someone came across too early and I think clipped is at 3 boxes, got a penalty. So for me, that's something that I'm not used to in Australia and something that could catch me out quite easily. Driving to the lights down pit lane, where you guys also, if you go around a corner, change to which light you're at. That's just something that you over time build muscle memory to doing it, and you guys are do it every day and not have a problem at all. But for me, it's like, I'll be modulating the throttle trying to get to the lights. So the pit lane will be the tough part, just making sure, make no mistakes, also not losing too much time there. But that's something where I've sort of had to look into it, try to learn the rules, and
Have you done pit practice?
I haven't. I'm meant to go out to Trackhouse, I think, on tomorrow or the next day to do pit practice, so should be good.
I'll be interested to see if you're as freaked out as Shane was when everybody jumped in front of you for the first time. He's like, he's like, oh!
What the hell are these guys doing?
Last year when I did it with RCR, when I did Sonoma, I had to just, I think Shane told me just block out that they're there pretty much. Just drive in, hit your marks.
Doesn't make me feel good about my job.
Yeah, don't worry about that front changer. Kind of a prick.
Yeah, I know. I felt like if I was concentrating on them too much, I'd just brake too early and
yeah,
sort
just hit
of
the
stuff
sign, man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
So I didn't find it too bad.
Yeah.
We've got a real heavy Australian show today, come to find out. Will Brown joining us first. Will Power. We've been trying to get him in the studio for a long time. He has a opening in his schedule. He's going to come out right after you. And then I told you that, and you said, you know what? I grew up 300 kilometers. That could be a mile. That could be 10 feet. I don't know the difference. How far is that? Is that across the street? Is that a 5-minute walk? Is it bizarre that somebody like Will, does somebody like that, seeing him and his career go the way it goes, did you have any affinity to that? Did you follow him? Was he an idol growing up?
Yeah, he was obviously a bit older than me and further down his career, but I grew up probably, I don't know what you call it, not even a mile from him.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So, yeah, very close by. And yeah, I actually, when I started racing Formula Ford, his dad, Bob Power, was still racing with the team that I was driving with. So I met Bob, and then he put me in touch with Will. And when he was back in Australia a few times, I had dinner with him, and he's a really good guy. So I'll be keen to catch up with him today. But yeah, literally grew up in the same small town in Australia, and he's obviously come over on the trajectory of IndyCar. But it was cool to follow him and see what he was up to.
Both of you guys have the keys to Brisbane, Australia. What does a key to a city do?
Yeah, it's the keys. We got the keys to
gate?
Toowoomba, which I think there's 3 people. So myself and him have the keys, and one other person. And
the janitor.
I wasn't sure. I thought maybe you couldn't get kicked out of a bar now or something, but
yeah,
you still can apparently.
Where you get pulled over. Hey, I got this.
Yeah,
what does this get?
What's this get me? That does not unlock the jail cell you're about to drag your ass into.
Super interesting. I'm reading here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it says you didn't start racing till you were 13.
Yeah, I was a bit different to everyone else. I played rugby. I guess we got the ball there. So
footy?
Yeah, footy when I was back home, and I guess probably around 12 I didn't grow and everyone else did. So yeah, I actually got an injury playing rugby, and I was looking at what other sports I could play because I couldn't play rugby for about 6 months, and go-karting. I was just going and literally paying to do indoor go-karting, and decided to get a go-kart, and then got into it. Hadn't really watched my first Bathurst 1000 until I was 15, and then I competed in it 3 years later.
Sick.
So it was a pretty. I've always been super competitive, and I enjoyed racing, and I guess became good at it, and just went from there. But it wasn't something everyone else I raced against in Australia started go-karting at 6-7 years old, but I was a lot later in life.
Do you think there's any advantages to that? Like you weren't burned out, you were just full bore from the time you started to where you are now?
I think maybe because I raced a lot once I got involved, and I think when I turned 16 and moved up into cars, I was probably getting to the stage we were doing 40 race weekends a year or something in go-karting, and I was probably a little bit over it then. So if I started at 7, but also I rode motorbikes along, since I was 2 the whole way through as well, and I think just the clutch and all of that sort of stuff, doing that really helped when I actually moved up through to the cars and that sort of stuff.
So we've had Scotty on here.
Yep.
We're pretty good friends with Scotty now. He's been lived in America, but he said on here that his goal was always to live in America.
Oh, right.
Like be a Mets fan or whatever, and
Knicks fan.
A Knicks fan.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, that's what I've always wanted to do. Is that like a goal of yours to live here, or is this just a one-off thing that you want to do for fun?
I find I'm just finding things, you know what I mean? Like it was like
there's a lot of fun. There's a
like,
lot of stuff to find here.
I didn't think I'd get to supercars and then getting there and then able to win the championship. And then I guess Shane, a lot of us didn't probably think it was an opportunity to come over here, that the NASCAR teams would consider taking an Aussie on board.
How old are you?
27. Yeah, so Shane sort of opened up those doors. A lot of us didn't think that we could even get a contact over here, and then when he did, and then I was able to meet Richard, I was able to come out and do a race. So it's something that'd be awesome. But even if I could do a couple of races a year, a few Xfinity, a cup a year, that's sort of my goal. So hopefully we can have a good run at
It seems like Shane came over to have some fun in Project 91, and we won this thing.
Oh, I can actually make a little bit of money doing this.
Yeah.
So go win this weekend.
Meanwhile, everybody else is like, oh, shit, this guy's coming over here doing it every week. We're in trouble.
Engineers over here like, he ain't going nowhere. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, well, Andrew, my engineer that's here, came over with Shane in what was that, 2023, and pretty much Shane won that race, and then
Did you put the hot setup on that thing?
Yeah, that's right. So, and then that's
he just
when
gave us a wink. He didn't confirm or deny.
Yeah. So I took Shane's drive when he left. So I was quite glad you took him. I was like, great, get rid of him.
Ya.
Yeah. So it opened up the seat at Red Bull back home. So that sort of helped me out a lot.
That's a big deal, buddy.
Yeah, it was at the time.
So, 27, man, you got like decades left of racing. Is there any sort of new goals established that you want to go get after?
I still feel like there's a lot in Australian motorsport. You know, Bathurst is massive for us. It's our biggest race by far, and haven't won that. Come third last year.
Really dumb question. So that's a team drive, right? You have partners.
Yep.
Two drivers.
Two drivers.
Who would be your partner
this year, or who would I choose?
Oh. Well, great. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to ask you now.
Yep.
Who is your partner this year?
So this year I've got Scott Pye, which is a driver you generally
try. He's an Apex Hunter guy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, there you go.
They're like the Australian stack of pennies.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, shout out.
That's right. So so you want to get pretty much the newest guy to retire. So whoever leaves supercars, you pretty much grab them because they've done the most amount of racing recently. They're just really good as a co-drive for Bathurst. It's a tough place, Bathurst. You know, it's very easy to make a mistake. The cars are a bit unique, so you don't want to just get anyone. And also, you get a young guy that's coming through in Australia. They don't do the pit stops in Super 2 like they do in Xfinity, so it's easy to make a mistake in pit lane and that. So I've Scott Pye. I think if you're going to...
And if you can't pick Scott Pye, I'll help you out.
Yep.
If you can't pick him and you had to pick somebody, who do you pick?
So I reckon there's three guys: Scotty Mack, SVG, and Jamie Whincup. Those are the...
Well, damn.
Those are one of the three that you'd
I'll take Richard Petty, Jeff Gordon, and Dale Earnhardt.
So, not sure which one I'd take out of them. Shane, obvious, like just with his knowledge and how smart he is in the races, he'd probably the guy you'd get.
Did you ever have any run-ins with him or Scotty?
A couple, yeah.
They had some good stories about each other at Pukekohe. I'll never forget them saying that name of that racetrack. But yeah, any run-ins with Shane?
They were
Scotty?
They were racing each other very hard at the end before Scotty left, so that was cool to watch. But Shane, our last year, so before I got picked up, when we went to our next gen cars, so our Gen 3 cars, our team that I was driving for then at Coke, we stepped up a lot. So we ended up, it was our two cars versus Shane at Red Bull and Brock. And we had a few little run-ins throughout the year. Shane will never come down and say anything to you though. He's not at all worried by that. But on the track, he's extremely smart about how he positions a car. Or tries to, he can definitely screw you over very easy in a race and knows how to do it. So there was a few of those throughout the year.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that we talk about Denny Hamlin's racing IQ is like some of the best over here because he has ways to screw you that nobody even knows, right? Except you're the person. If you're on the receiving end, you're like, oh, damn, that was good.
Yep.
SVG does that.
Oh, that's right.
Kyle Larson does that. Like he puts you in positions to lift, and it's either you're both going to crash or you're going to give up that guy's spot.
Shane was smart enough that you thought you had a run on him, so you'd come out of a right-hander and you're coming into a left-hander. Now, he'd block that a bit but roll out of the throttle on a straight, and you'd go to the outside thinking, I'm going to get him, and then he'd just move you out of the road. So he did things smart enough that if you didn't know the way he raced, you really had to... he could catch you out a lot. In the end, you'd learn that and you just sit behind him and push him because you're like, I'm not going to the outside again. I know what you're going to do.
But you're not allowed to run into each other there now. It's a whole new can of worms over here where everybody just runs into each other under caution just for the hell of it.
They've just opened it up in Australia, so now we can.
Oh, you have?
Now unless you turn them around, but you can pretty much go down the inside and hit them and move them out of the road, and it won't be a penalty anymore. So
like that.
I think
that used to be a time penalty, or
but now they've nearly not gone. I feel like you guys over here have, because it's self-penalizing and someone will actually retaliate, they'll get rid of you. Ours has got more bump and grind because you can move someone off and then they can't get rid of you the next corner completely because they get a penalty if they completely punt you off, where we nearly need that because you move someone out of the road, they punt you off next corner, you're not going to do it. But you're sort of protected a bit now with the way it works.
So how much of them opening up that rule is attributed to everybody being more invested in NASCAR because Shane's running? They're like, this looks kind of fun. Maybe you guys should start running into each other.
Oh, 100%. Like it's Shane coming over here. I think everyone hops up on a Monday morning and watches the race, but also our category in supercars has gone to a playoff system now. We've never had that. It's always been most consistent car. The end of last year, so I won it with the old championship format, most consistent car. But this year we've moved to a playoff system, and I think it's just watching NASCAR, trying to gain more more interest for fans at home. And I think also Red Bull and Penske, when they were there, they've won the championship for the last, I think, probably 7-8 years, trying to make it that somebody else can,
a little parity,
can win it. Yeah,
that's why we made this system, because they were sick of Jimmy Johnson kicking everybody's ass. So.
And he still did it. He still figured it out. Yeah, they couldn't stop that fella. I almost think, like, the more I watch and I'm interested in V8 supercars, guys like SVG, Scotty, yourself coming over here, it's like that is hyper competitive, but it's almost like NASCAR in the late 90s in terms of just big Fortune 500 brands. It seems like every consumable brand in Australia is on a car, but it hasn't picked up this, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you know, right now the business of NASCAR, you talk about charters, the overall valuations of these teams are like hundreds of millions of dollars. And it seems like, you know, you drive for one of the best teams on the grid, and the valuation isn't, compared to a cup car, is like pennies.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I just don't think we have the population over there compared to what you guys have here. It's just eyeballs, how many people are watching your sport, and, you know, we only however many million people it is, but it's not many compared to here. So just getting eyeballs on the sport is the biggest thing, and we have great coverage in Australia, what we have, and our Bathurst is massive and all of that sort of stuff. But it's just probably not on the level of over here. Competitiveness and all of that sort of stuff is awesome, but unfortunately just don't have the numbers to get as many people. But for what we bring in over there, it's quite good for our sport. And I guess we look at it a different way. We run 13 rounds throughout the year with 3 races per weekend, so we cut costs in other ways, and we're not traveling every weekend like you guys. There's a lot of cost saving there to be able to make our series work the way it does.
What happens if you junk one in the first race?
Yeah, well, our guys are pretty good these days, and our cars, they have the clips now, which I went to.
Unbolt?
Yeah, they unbolt. So generally they're fairly good, but one of the guys last weekend had a big crash first race and was out for the weekend. So
you can't pull out a backup car?
So no, you can't pull out a backup car, which it's hard because once again it comes back to costs. Like it's easy for our team to have a backup car. Maybe for one of the ones down the back it's not. But depends. I think if you saw that happening more often that we couldn't repair them between races, they'd probably consider it. But yeah.
So, on average, how many cars do you guys have for the whole year?
So 24 in a race.
No. How many cars does a team have?
Do we have? So we run one for the whole year. One car for the whole year. Because we'll have 2 weeks between. So the transporter will head back to the workshop. That'll get back a day or two later, and then we've got a good week and a half to prep the car for the next round. So it's usually enough. Yeah, we have a spare car there, and our team tries to update the chassis every year, but other teams will run them for 2 to 3 years over there.
Wow.
I could sit here and talk to them all day.
Engines, I'm trying to think. This will be an
all right, we don't need to get that far in the weeds then. I was like, I'm just sitting here thinking about how much excess we have, right? It's like going IHOP. That's what our race teams are like too. There's enough calories in it for a whole year.
I couldn't believe rolling into RCR when I
There's a lot of excess calories in a cup team these days, whether they want to admit it or not. But before, I know you got to go hit the sim here, but I'm going to ask you 3 questions that I ask all the guests, and I appreciate your time today. If you had to pick one race car and one racetrack to race at the rest of your life, can't drive anything else at any other place, what do you pick?
I'd probably be boring and go Bathurst in a supercar. It's pretty phenomenal.
What year, like the current supercar?
Or no, I'd probably go our last one, like a 2021, the Gen 2 car, a 888 one round Bathurst for a shootout. Our shootout, 10 cars make it. That's what I'd go.
Is that like I probably watched the video of Scotty Mack qualifying 7 times.
Yep.
Is that like that's the year? That's the car.
Yep. And it's just I don't know. You go to Bathurst, you got to risk it a lot to get pole around there, and the undulation and the elevation, how short the lap is for how much elevation. It's a wild track. You got to go and walk it to understand.
You ever seen the in-car camera when Darrell Waltrip went and was riding in that car? Higgy put it up on the YouTube clip. It is awesome, dude. Darrell Waltrip just screaming for bloody murder driving, and he's on the left side of the car. I don't know who was driving it. All right, what's your most embarrassing moment at the racetrack?
Most embarrassing moment at the racetrack? I was on film and I put my balaclava on backwards. Didn't notice.
No!
And I'm like, why can't I see out of this thing?
Trying to look cool for the camera.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So
Where can we
that was
find that,
embarrassing.
actually?
I'll have to find. No, I'm not going to give it to you.
All right, last question. Have you seen the movie Men in Black?
Oh no.
Okay.
I feel like I have.
I got to
but-
preface this question for anybody under like 30. So in the movie, they have a pen that zaps your memory.
Oh, yep.
It's like you forget about what just happened, right? So if I had that pen and I zapped your memory, but you only could keep one racing memory of your entire life, what do you keep?
2021, my first win. I was a rookie. It was Shane and Jamie Whincup behind me. I was driving for probably like a mid-pack team, and we sort of undercut them, and the two Red Bulls were fighting behind me, and they caught me with 2 laps to go, but I was able to hold them off and win my first race, so that'll be it.
Where was it?
It was at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Hey.
Yeah,
Dog.
good race, yep.
But I love it. I wish you luck. I think you're going to haul ass this weekend.
Thank you.
Shout out sponsors. Who's on that thing? You got a couple on your shirt?
So we've got Mobile X, the main one, so that's Peter Adderton. So he actually founded Boost Mobile over here.
Okay.
He's an Aussie guy, so him, and I've also got Shaw and Partners, which is an investment company, but they also own, I think it's about 30% of our team now at Red Bull Ampol, so they're sort of supporting me to come over here and do a bit more racing, so got them on board, which is awesome.
Love it. Well, I wish you luck. Everybody from
Thank you.
Stacking Pennies, follow along Will Brown's journey this weekend. Where do they find your YouTube channel? Also, social media, Instagram, all the things.
Yep, all that.
There it is.
Awesome.
13 car. Will Brown. I'm gonna give you a prediction. I'm not gonna put any pressure on you, but I think you run top 5.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't take no shit from these guys. They're gonna try to. The Cam Waters. Everybody just ran into it. So no last year.
I know. I felt bad because I was one of them. I run all over.
See, he's one of them.
I'm like, I'm not racing this guy next week. Pow, pow, pow.
That's right.
Just know that's how they're thinking. So have the same thought. You don't have to. They're not coming to Australia to race you. So
do it, dude.
Yeah.
Don't have any regrets. Just get after
I accidentally turned Truex Jr. at
he's
Sonoma.
gone
I
too.
felt
You don't have
bad
to worry
about
about
He's
him
gone
either. Yep, he's off fishing somewhere, so you're in good shape.
That's right. All right. More Stacking Pennies coming up. We're going from one Will to the next. Will Power coming up right after this. Oh, man, guys. Been working on this one for a while. SVG, Scotty Mac, they've been in here. They've been friends of the show. I was like, man, how can we get Will Power on the show? So Scotty Mac connected us via text message. So please help me welcome to Noncents Garage, 2-time IndyCar champion, Indianapolis 500 winner, Will Power.
Thank you.
Welcome, buddy. Welcome.
Thank you.
You come in the door, you're like, "This is the first time I met." And I said, "Man, I've met you a couple times in passing. You wouldn't know who I am, but obviously we know who you are, buddy, because you have been a staple in the IndyCar garage for several decades. So I appreciate you coming in today."
Yeah, no, thank you. I love the show and stoked
Don't
to be
blow
here.
smoke up my ass. I know you don't have to listen, but we have had a big Australian day today. Will Brown joined us on the show, driving for colleague Chicago Street Race this week. And then naturally it just all timed out. We didn't even plan it like this, but come to find out, you guys are neighbors.
Very close.
In Brisbane.
No,
Or
Toowoomba.
Toowoomba.
Okay.
And you both have the keys.
We both got the keys to the city.
He didn't
What
tell
have you
us
done
what,
with your keys?
Yeah, he didn't tell us what the keys did.
You get into any bar anytime.
Let's
no,
go.
I don't know. It's a nice
Plaque.
plaque. Yeah, I got the keys to Mooresville.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I won I can't remember if it was the 500 or the championship, but they gave me the keys to the city of Mooresville.
Sick.
That was really cool because
You got a little key ring going on with a
know.
couple different
yeah,
towns.
I can get into any sort of, you can get in anywhere. So.
Like Saeed's?
Yeah.
2 towns
you
away
to
from being a
Saeed's?
janitor.
Oh yeah, I know. I've heard it. I've never been to Saeed's.
What?
Never been? No, I've heard
He's
about
kind
it.
of got that twinkle in his eye, though. He might have stopped by once. No? Never?
No, I've never been there. I haven't. I was too far for. I'm in Troutman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit too far.
It's too far to walk if you know.
Don't go now. It used to be really cool. And it was nasty.
Doesn't the baby live up there? Do you live in
He lives very close to me.
You and the baby are neighbors?
Yeah, no joke. Yeah, the whole neighborhood talks about the baby.
You ever seen him?
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't think. You probably see like a Lamborghini or something rolling by that he's leasing. But yeah, nah, he's got like a full wall, like
A guard shack. And
guard shack. Yeah. So
do you need a guard shack up at your place?
Yeah, no.
No?
Try to stay real low key, you know.
Well, first, I don't even know where we can go a million different ways, but let's talk about this year first. It seems like, and I wish I could follow IndyCar more. I mean, I would say that I'm a fringe fan, right? I respect how hard those cars are to drive, and just no matter what discipline you are, you got to respect anybody at their peak level of their sport. Now, forgot where I was going to go with that, but it is a Kyle Kirkwood, Alex Palou season right now. Those two guys haven't lost a race.
No.
Why? Really?
It's crazy. I've never seen it in my career where two people have won the first whole half of the season. Like, yeah,
it's unbelievable.
The first half of the season, there's only two people have won.
Palou's
won 6 and Kirkwood's won 3. Yeah, amazing, man. Like, Chevy hasn't won a race this year. There's 2 manufacturers, Honda and Chevy.
I know.
Yeah. And we haven't won a race. Penske hasn't won a race. So
now, how much of that is like, I'm not really a big believer in luck, right? Because preparation meets opportunity. But is it like a little bit off on simulation? Is it unload speed? What is it that Honda has that Chevy might not?
Man, it's so close. Like, if you just have like a 1/10 swing in engine performance, it's a big deal in our series because, you know, often 2/10 covers 10 cars on a road course.
Yeah.
So if you just have a tiny bit out of every corner, it's almost difficult to see on the data. You know, I think team and driver engine combination is putting it together. You know, Palou is just exceptional, like as an all-round driver.
Did he test a Formula One car this weekend? No.
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so. No,
somebody drove Lando's car in FP1. I thought it was an IndyCar guy. No?
It might have been O'Ward. I don't think so. I don't think O'Ward probably did Mexico, but
maybe.
Higgy's going to pull it up here before long. He'll have it popped up.
Yeah, no.
Did you ever driven an F1 car?
Yeah, in 04, I tested the Minardi.
How was that?
It blew my mind, man, at the time, because I was only doing Formula 3, so, you know, a lot less power and downforce. Yeah, it's just amazing. Same year. So I tested the Minardi, and then I think later that year I tested the Champ car, which was also, you know, crazy. I was like, man, I could be paid to do this because at that point you're paying for your ride. So
is that what kind of got the eyes on a United States motorsports career?
Well, yeah, that test did lead to a drive in the States. You know, at that point in my career, I was very focused on getting into Formula One. But it would mean, you know, I got offered to drive over here in 2006 in a Champ car, which, you know, a real beast of a car, IndyCar basically. And it was either get paid to do that or find another $1 million and do GP2, which is F2 at the time. Yep. So, yeah, you just had to take the step. I was already in debt. And, you know, after driving the Champ car, I thought this is unbelievable. You know, it was an awesome machine to drive, and it was an open wheeler, and I was going to get paid and could start paying some of the debts off, and yeah, it was a great decision. As much as we all want to end up in Formula One, if you're doing the open wheeler route, there's just limited seats, it's political, it's tough to get.
It's expensive as hell.
There's only one team that wins every year, sort of thing, and that could be multiple years, whether it's Mercedes, Red Bull, or McLaren. But yeah, it's oh man, I've had a great career. I've enjoyed racing over here. And
what year was your first year in Champ Car?
First race was in 05. I did 2 races at the end of 05.
So first 20 years you've been running.
20 years in IndyCar, yeah.
And has it always been for Penske?
No, first year was Walker Racing. The first couple of years, Walker Racing, it was a Team Australia cars, was the sponsor. And then drove for KV, and then I got, Elio had his court case. He was indicted for tax evasion. And, man, it was the end of 08. I was heading back home to do supercars in Australia. Because there was I didn't really have any other options. And my wife's like, well, I'd actually signed a deal to do A1GP. I don't know if you guys remember A1GP.
Mm-mm.
It was like a Nations Cup. So
Okay.
it's like all these nations had cars. It was a big series at the time, big prize money. I signed a deal. My wife said, you shouldn't have signed that. What if Ganassi or Penske have a ride? I said that's never going to happen. They've signed their guys up. Are you crazy? She actually talked me into getting out of that deal. I had a deal done.
And you didn't have anything else.
I had nothing else. And I
Whoa.
said, if this doesn't pull off, I said, we're done. She always tells me, like, you remember that she was right, but A1GP went bankrupt, done. They didn't even complete a race.
No
Didn't
kidding.
even do the first race, which was in Australia. Elio got indicted. So Penske had a seat. All that just played out.
Damn.
It was crazy. And I got a part-time ride, like kind of just guaranteed maybe a test. That was it. If Elio gets acquitted, maybe I did a test for Penske. But I think I got 6 races that year. Ended up breaking my back barely, but man, got foot in the door. And
Same way Joey got his ride. Kinda.
Yeah, more or less somebody else's
holy crap,
misfortunes.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize that's
Yeah.
how you got in over there.
yeah, it was. I mean, I was a guy at the time that had done enough for them to pick me. I had a list of guys, so you still got to put the work in. But I had in that 2009, finished on the podium another number of times, was beating the teammates, so got myself in position to get a
So
full-time
you've been
ride
driving for
next year.
Penske for 15 years?
So 09, what are we?
16?
16,
Yeah.
17
Holy crap,
years,
that's
yes.
unheard of
Yeah.
in the world of
Yeah.
motorsports.
And
Yeah.
and that's a point that I always want to bring up too, is like people aren't given credit for sustaining high level careers with high level teams as long as yours. You have to really understand what your strengths are, and then also be vulnerable enough to figure out what your weaknesses are and work on and get better. So what do you think, if you looked at your toolbox, what do you do well that has really made your career into what it was?
It's continually adding to that toolbox, basically.
What would
you
that
can
look like?
you can learn something from every driver in that field. You got to look at the guys that have complete packages like Palou. Kirkwood's getting there. Not many people have it. Not many people have you got to really look at your weaknesses and work on your weaknesses, and you got to, as the cars change, the tire changes, you're continually changing your driving style. It's never the same.
Mm-hmm.
The conditions never the same. The tire's never the same. The wind direction, temperature, the cars changed a lot. The weight has increased tremendously, the weight distribution. All these things require a different driving style, require a lot of homework to understand. And I've never sat and just believed that I was good enough, ever. I've never just sat there and go, I'm good, I don't need to. Well, I've always felt like I've got to work really hard. I've got to keep working hard. And that's the key. That's what's kept me there, is and desire, passion, all the things that I reckon a lot of guys, once they get in their 40s, probably get a family and maybe get a bit complacent. You've got to have that desire. You've got to have that fire burning.
Yeah,
You gotta have that dog in you.
Gotta have that dog.
You got to have the dog in you. Yeah.
What
no
is
joke.
that like? Because I'm sure the drive and the passion and what you're doing it for morphs over time. What did it start originally when you got in go-karts, right? When you're a kid,
Yeah.
versus what it is right now.
I would say it changes, right? Like the first time you drive, even just a go-kart when you're a kid, it's just amazing, that feeling. Sort of what fades away as you get older is the the fun of driving, like the power, the feeling of driving an amazing machine. It's like the first time I drove the Formula One car, Minardi, just blew my mind. It's like, this is so cool. It's just so much power, braking capacity, grip. Same with the IndyCar and Champ Car the first time you drive it. It blows your mind. Now it doesn't even register, but what I love is competition. I just enjoy competing at a high level against really good guys. You want to beat when you win a race, it means so much if you're beating the best in the business. And my desire for competition is the thing that drives me the most. It's not actually the enjoyment of driving the car. It's kind of the craft itself, but the competition coming in after every session. Where do I stack up? Where am I? You know?
Oh, it tells you exactly how good you are every time you get the
Every
race
time.
track.
You can't cheat that. I mean, and that's what I love. That's what's kept me going. You know, the sort of the cars and all that sort of faded away, but the desire for competition and also realizing how bloody lucky you are to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get to this age, you're like, man, you know, I'm just so lucky to get paid to do this job that I absolutely love. And I know it's not going to last very long. It's not going to last forever. So you better enjoy it. Even the appearances and the sponsors, all that stuff. Like, yeah, you're gonna be sitting at home at some point when you're older going, man, that was the best time of my life.
These are the good old days.
How many people ask you now, being 44 years old, how much longer are you going to do it?
That's all I get now because I'm not signed up right now. So for next year. So yeah, I'm constantly asked, well, what's going to happen? But it's all good.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Just thinking back to talking about cars and just you probably had to just like reconfigure yourself so many times because Indy cars, they have changed in 20 years and they just announced that they're going to have a new cars at 2027, 2028.
Yeah.
So like we've seen it with NASCAR. It's like everybody, we've made these incremental steps in bodies and all that, and then COT car, and then we go to the next gen car, and there was a lot of guys that were great that haven't been able to keep up. So that work of figuring that out, guys eventually don't want to get back on the horse and just kind of reimagine themselves. It's interesting that the competition has driven you to want to keep.
Yeah, you can't get stuck in a specific, let's say, driving style, or you know, I only like it the way it feels like this. You know, I'm very good when it feels like this. You're only going to do well when it feels like that, which isn't very often.
It only happens once every 3 years, maybe.
Exactly. You've got to be able. You've got to have a wide range of driving styles, or you know, feelings that you like about the car, or understand how to extract the most out of it. I think that's probably one of the biggest things, is knowing what makes that car fast. It may not feel comfortable to drive, but that's the fast way. You know, and that's, I think Palou in IndyCar is really nailing that very well. He knows what it means, because you can get a car that's really well handling, but you're in the wrong setup philosophy, because the IndyCar, obviously you can add a lot of
weight jack,
like you know, aerodynamically you can make it turn a lot, or you can do it mechanically. It's a massive adjustment, and you can be on the wrong side of those and have a good handling car, but you'll be slow. So it's really understanding what you need from it, which is forever changing as well.
You can be uncomfortable or you can be slow. You got to pick one.
Yeah, that's what Tart says all the time on the NASCAR broadcast.
We talked about it earlier because we were talking about Atlanta, the reconfiguration, how great the race was, how much the drivers hated it when they first came about, and we saw it a lot when they built this new car, just drivers having hands in it. You're the veteran guy in probably the garage for what they call the Paddock in Indy. How much did they rely on you for, like, how much input did you have on this new car? Like, this is what I think.
Well, they did. They didn't really ask the drivers too much. I think their key was to knock weight out of it.
Yep.
You know, I drove a champ car in the off season. You know, a car that I raced in 07, and it was almost 400 pounds lighter. For us, that's a huge percentage of a car that weighs, you know, we're about 1,800 pounds now. That thing was in the 1,400s.
Wow. Which is crazy.
And it had more power, and about the same downforce. But man, that was, you know.
Acceleration. Power to weight.
Pretty cool.
Did the weight stuff come from safety? Like
safety. You're adding like panels to the tub. You're adding the windscreen. You've got the MGU, the electric motor now, so the hybrid, which was another 100 pounds. Just kept adding up safety stuff, and it's not bad. Like, you know, the young guys complain about the weight, but it's still it's still a machine you got to get the most out of.
Right.
It's still an open wheel car. It's still fun to drive.
I've got a working theory about driver etiquette and overall respect because respect and etiquette in NASCAR has went like this. nosedive. Young guys come in, the cars don't really take damage. You can kind of bump and bang without really any sort of penalty. And there's really zero driver camaraderie because of that. I think is kind of the butterfly effect that I can smash into you. I'm not going to get a wheel bent, so I'm not going to talk to you pre-race because more than likely I'm going to have to smash into you. There seems to be a camaraderie a bit between the IndyCar guys, and my theory is because inherently if you touch, bad shit's going to happen. Do you think that allows for a little bit more mutual respect between all the competitors?
Yeah, it is. What I've noticed has changed over let's say the 20 years I've been in IndyCar. Multiple things have changed. The series merged together. The continuity of drivers year to year got better and better. So now you've got the same guys year after year. Mm-hmm. So that ends up you race with the same guy week in, week out, and year after year. So you end up having more respect. And plus, just being in the series longer, you kind of understand how things play out, and you just end up having more respect for people. Yes, I would say in IndyCar now, it's the most respect amongst drivers since I've been in the series, because the series has kind of grown as well a lot since,
for sure,
since I started. When I started, they were split. Yeah, it was like two sort of mediocre series with
an IRL and Champ Car, right?
IRL, the IRL, which was mainly ovals.
Don't get it all. I want to go the prank route. That's where I wanted to go because it cracks me up. Like there's nobody playing pranks in the Cup
nobody
garage.
Calling you to wish you good night.
Like Colton Hurd.
Did
he call you?
Yeah, no, he did not.
That video had me cracked.
Isn't that pretty funny, man? I loved it.
When did who kicked off the prankster era of?
So it would have been sort of Connor Daly, James Hinchcliffe, sort of.
Have you pranked or been pranked?
I was a part of. I was just filming when they took
allegedly
Grosjean's scooter and put it at the very top of that pagoda there, the highest point, sniper stand. That was Alex Rossi. There was. Yeah, it's a fun paddock. I think it's also because it's very multinational. You have so many nations, different nationalities in there. So it's not. That's what I notice about different paddocks. The supercar paddock in Australia is very, a lot of bitter guys in there. They really, some of them really dislike each other. I don't know if that's the same in NASCAR as a lot of Americans, but it's the different cultures in IndyCar. Maybe that's why it's the way it is. But it is quite a friendly paddock, I would have to say. Quite a friendly paddock. Still fierce racing on track, but yes, respect and. You always see the young rookies get in and they have to get their bearings on, what people tolerate and what they don't. But, it's good. It's a very enjoyable series in that respect, on and off the track. Very rewarding. I'm lucky to have done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. When you guys race ovals, it scares the out of me. I pucker up watching. I can only imagine what it's like to drive our ovals. Is there one that sticks out like Texas? That's
the super speedways. Like when we raced Fontana and it was 4 or 5 wide, man. You bloody spotters okay, 1 inside, 2 inside, 1 outside, 2 outside, 5 wide, and you're just man, it's so nuts that we were doing that. Because if you just have the little moment you touch someone there and you run up over their front wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, even the restarts at Indy these days, it's just crazy, man.
Indy's crazy.
Crazy. The speeds you do.
The one that blows me away, and this one probably isn't overwhelmingly fast for you guys, is Iowa.
I just tested at Iowa, and we're pretty much wide open.
It's when my 5-year-old's got the little string with a ball in the end, and he's just whipping her around.
Yeah,
That's what it looks like you guys are
trying to
doing.
say to bloody IndyCar, man, you got to take some downforce off. I mean, I'm just waiting for the tire to fail. It's just insane. It's painful. The G-force is bloody painful. To do a stint, I did at 15 minutes at the end of the day, so let's just fill it up and do half stint. It was half stint to do
Yeah.
Oh, man, at the end of it, I'm just like, my arms are aching. Just
Are you trying to like get your arm and just?
Yeah, you're just like, I hope I don't have a moment. Yeah. No, it's. I'll be interested to see what they do with the package there, because someone did have a tire failure and destroyed the car. Oh. Yeah. So, but some of those races that were like that, where you just like Texas, some have been just amazingly enjoyable.
Michigan, they used to race Michigan.
That was early, right? That was before your time.
I never raced Michigan.
Well, I went to one. It might have been the only time I ever did it at Dover when I was a little kid.
Oh my God!
And it was like I remember sitting there with my dad and being like, "Can we back up? Like,
we're too close.
I don't want to stand close to this."
No joke. Yeah, something getting over the bloody catch.
Richmond
fence.
was cool though. Did you race Richmond?
Yeah, I did in 08. Hoping we go back there. We were going to, and something happened. But Richmond would be a great track for us. Really big dag. I know Joseph tested there, Newgarden tested there. He said there's 4 seconds of dag for us. So that's how Iowa was. Iowa was one of our best track. It was never wide open since when NASCAR went there. They paved it, added a ton of grip. But before that, I mean, you were lifting way early. The car was sliding. That's where I thought. So I think I said to Larson, I said, man, you would love that race. That's when I remember when Jimmy was racing.
He ran well there.
He ran well at any of the tracks where there was big dag, because that's what his wheelhouse was.
Yeah.
He wasn't used to this just stuck wide open stuff. Where you're just doing little tiny corrections. Like there, the car's got a lot more forgiveness and slides a lot more. I'd love to see Larson or some of the NASCAR guys race a high dag track like Richmond.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool. I think they'd do real well.
He says often, right, when we talk to him through that whole preparation for the Indy 500, how similar they feel, all under consideration, to the next gen car, like independent rear suspension.
Yeah.
But when I watch it, especially all qualify at Indy, it seems like they're slot cars. And if there's the littlest twitch, you're like
those moments are just so big for such a small moment, because it's just you're gone, man.
How much
you're gone.
So walk me through like the cliff notes of a 4-lap qualifying at Indy, where like, does it give you any indication of like, okay, I went through one and my wheel was a little bit light, let me put some weight jacker in so it doesn't do it again?
Pretty much. Like if you just go to turn in, so the rear moves a bit, next one's like click on the weight jacker, like I need some right front weight. You got to be very ahead of it. But to me, it's kind of got it was just such a knife edge this last year.
Why is that?
I don't know whether it's because you added 100 pounds to the rear of the car, but Firestone also has taken the gauge of the tire down. The more you take that gauge down, the less feel. Less feel, is a bit more grip, but there's no forgiveness, no progression to the let go. So it's just like a rope breaking. So I saw that a ton. Like, it was just so unpredictable. Like, you had to be so on top of the car.
When you go to do a 4-lap run like that and you make those adjustments inside the cockpit, do you have a plan before you go, like, okay, lap 1 backstretch, this much on this anti-roll bar? This, like, do you have all that planned out, or are you just running by, like, the seat of your pants?
Just by feel, because wind, temperature, it's because on qualifying morning, it'll be very different to the day before you ran. You sometimes do practice just before, but it's never the same. Wow. Gusts of wind, all that, it always changes. Maybe a tire set's slightly different. Got to be very on top of the tools.
I didn't realize that you got that. So you do that all just by feel.
By feel, you've obviously got the car into a really nice window, and you kind of understand about where it's at. But as you run, you're on the bars, weight jack. Sometimes you're lucky and it's just a nice solid. And the other thing is, if you've trimmed too much, and you're just holding on to that bloody thing you're trying not to lift. You have these little shaky lifts you see in the data.
The pinky toe.
Yeah, you're just like, I was flat. The engineer's like, no, you weren't.
Yeah, you were 97%.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's not a nice feeling when you lap 2 and you're doing that, and you got 2 more to do. I've had some of the most painful runs where you just so don't look forward to it when it's on that weird edge where you have to trim enough to make it through. Or I had that when I just made the field, man. I actually hit the wall on the last lap. you see my foot shaking on the thing, and I had to keep in it, or I was not going to make the field. Not a nice feeling. Yeah, no. Crazy how.
That makes it
well,
even
it's like
more
yeah,
impressive.
like that's the tale of two, because the guy who was ever on the pole that year probably was having the same feeling as him, just going faster than the guy that's on the verge trying to qualify in, right? It's not that your job.
Yeah, some of the hardest ones I've had is for the last row. The hardest runs you've had.
Yeah, like car's not driving
front
good.
row I've been super solid. Like, car was great.
Right.
It was fast, and you didn't have to trim way more than you needed to.
Right, your crew chief's like, all right, we got to take some wing out.
You're not going to make it. Yeah. You're like, oh, man, please. Yeah.
That makes it even more impressive. Was it that impressive that a rookie got the pole this year? Because I didn't realize that it was.
That was that's amazing. I mean, he was lifting too. I went and told them before that run. I said, hey, just so you know, when you run, after 6 or 6, said the thing gets a lot heavier, so you probably can trim, or you could just leave it, because he wasn't flat when he was quickest I think he was quickest in the previous round. But yeah, that's impressive on many levels. One is a new team building a car that is that fast straight off the bat. That's bloody difficult to build a car. Like, I can't tell you how long we've worked and how hard Penske has worked to get cars that are consistent amongst each other, and still very difficult. Those guys built that car, had a rookie. He had to complete the run. I mean, that was pretty cool.
So does the air get heavier after 6 o'clock, or just cooler? The track
just gets cooler. Track temp gets cooler, so the air gets heavier as well. So you have a bit more downforce.
Wow.
The track temp's a big one. Like when you're sliding more and the track temp's at 120, it's just heating that surface. So every time you go through, it's just slowly building that surface temp, and it just gets harder and harder. So once the track temp comes down, everything just gets nicer and easier.
So we're talking about Indy 500 qualifying, but I think generally speaking, how precise you have to be to drive an IndyCar is what I always am just blown away by, of how do you, at 44 years of age, continue to stay sharp and as precise as you are to guide that missile?
It's almost predictive, though. Like, you understand where it is from the previous corner, right? Mm-hmm. And it gets a little easier at times in race configurations, a bit more downforce, probably a little bit more feel, cars moving a little more. I mean, it can be just as bad, but it's understanding where to run in the air as well. Where you run in the wake's a big deal. Like, you can just
learning those lessons can hurt though when you get in the wrong spot. Where a lot of guys are learning that here.
Yeah, well, is that because now the
chokes
current
off the diffuser and
current car has a diffuser, and you probably can't have as much yaw angle, and it just lets go, right? Yeah. Loses all its downforce. IndyCar is similar to that. So those guys would know how that's kind of like an IndyCar.
What was the IndyCar Paddock's perception of Larson coming over and doing double?
I was really excited, have a name like that come over, and super talented guy. I was really interested. I actually believe that he could win the race. That's what I thought when he was coming over. I still thought, even on his first year, he did a good job. I just think this last one was just, once you have one moment, then you're not confident, then you're unsure. It's just all those things.
Then they put some downforce in it. You don't qualify as good, and then it just.
Oh man! And then on that restart, he accidentally went to third, which which is a tough, just a not really a fair shot at it, I'd say.
Is that how he wrecked? He actually went to third.
Yeah, I saw he went down to third and then got to some throttle. Would have been in some dirty air, and just all the restarts have been crazy the last couple of years too. But I think everyone would have been excited. We're excited anytime you get a big name come into the series like that. That's a big deal. When Kurt Busch ran, super excited. He did a bloody good job.
That was an underrated double
finish, man.
He did well.
I think I was behind him at the end. I can't remember, but he finished like 6th or something. I mean, it's bloody good deal.
Have you ever thought about jumping in a stock car? NASCAR aspirations?
I'd like to do an oval just to feel it. Obviously, be very tough for me. Yeah, it'd be so different.
You've won on a bunch of ovals though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, not just the car. Like it'd be so different. I think. I'd like to try it.
Have you never been like, hey Roger, come on, let me?
No. Yeah. No. I'm just trying to keep my current ride.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, I have. I mean, it's got to make sense from it. You know, they're not going to put you in a car just to have fun.
Right.
It's got to be.
It's expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever been close to getting like a call if somebody was going to miss a race or?
Actually, someone sent me a text recently, asked me what I'm doing Portland weekend. I can't remember the team. It would have been for Xfinity, right?
Yeah.
I would do that. Yeah, I love NASCAR.
Damn, I wish you ran that 22.
All.
I changed tires on that 22 Xfinity car for like 5 years, and we had a bunch of people coming. That was a blast.
Yeah.
That would have been a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I would do it. I've been very focused. I had outside opportunities, but just stayed in my wheelhouse and focused hard on trying to win IndyCar races and championships and do the absolute best at that and not sort of spread myself thin in any way. But I would love to do a race in a NASCAR, even as a truck. Just go and do a race in a truck.
Where's
on
the
an
truck
oval.
driver now?
Yeah, I'll make some introductions. You
been-
drive mine every now and then if you want to. You can have it.
Man, it looks awesome. Looks so much fun.
How do you quantify success of a career? Because I think some of a common trait from the majority of guys who do it at a high level, there's no contentment for what you've done, and it's hard to quantify what success is. How do you quantify what success is?
Yeah, that is a good question. At what point are you content? You never are content. You always wanted more, but I think you got to reflect on everything you've done. And for anyone that makes it into racing and has a career is a success story in itself. It's. I'm at that point, where I know I haven't got that much longer, and you get to this point, you're like, oh man, I need to do this, and this. But I would say if I didn't win the Indy 500, it would have been very disappointing for me, to have won so many races and had won a championship. Probably in that decade that I won the 500, I won more races, more poles, led more laps than anyone. But hadn't won a 500. So I remember thinking leading up to that, like, man, started to get a little bit down about it. Every time I turn up there, I didn't win. But winning that was a big deal. Winning another championship in 22 in my 40s was a big deal.
Yeah,
and a very, very tough
kids
field.
Coming up, Colton Hurd up, Paddock
really,
Award. You're like, nope, watch out.
Yeah, it was a really cool season. It was sort of a mental reset and a very calm approach. But I've been lucky, if I stopped now, I would be satisfied. I mean, you always want more. That's life. No one has a perfect life ever. So yeah, it's, there's always guys going to have more and be better. And
there's a hell of a lot of guys that have less too.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way it is. Everyone has their path. And they're all interesting.
Yeah.
They're all interesting in their own way. The way people make it, someone who never wins a championship or a race has as an interesting story as someone who won 6 championships. It's cool. I love hearing people's stories. People who have I think some of the superheroes of the world are single mothers or single fathers raising like a couple of kids or something by themselves. I mean, that's tough life.
Oh yeah.
And nobody's going to ever know what they're doing, right?
No
They're
one
not on
knows what
TV,
they're doing.
Nobody
Like,
celebrates
you see
it
these heroes, people, media and so on create heroes, but man, everyone has their own path and I respect them all.
Love
Fire
that.
me up. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we do this, right? We've gotten to hear so many and gotten to know so many good people, and really, I see you going through a lot of same stuff I'm going through. Like, okay, I'm at the end of my career. What's it going to look like? How do you feel? Like, I feel like, have I left this better than where I found it? Do you ever have those like feelings of like, have I left this sport better, or the integrity that you want to have? Like, if you were to walk away from IndyCar after this year, how would you want to leave? Like, how do you feel like you've left it?
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess I've had such a long career. I've been through many different phases of mental approaches and all that. But I think at the end of the day, you seem to have the older you get, I don't think it's just through racing, but you just have a lot more respect for people and life in general. And I would be satisfied if I just stopped now. But I still have a very burning desire to keep going because I'm at a high level. I love the craft, so I've never stopped working on it. And I feel like I'm actually the best I've ever been. But I've enjoyed watching IndyCar grow into what it is now from, what happened. Like where it was at the end of 2000 was a very high level with a lot of manufacturers and, to sort of be a part of it and see it grow to where it is now. Great TV package, a lot more money in the series, continuity of good teams and drivers, and that's another reason I want to keep going. I'm loving seeing this. It's
like hell. I went through the dark days. It's getting good now.
The money's getting a lot better.
Damn it. You just brought up the different mental approaches, right? The peaks and valleys. So, quick context on where Stacking Pennies comes from. Name of the show is when I first got into the Cup Series. It was with backmarker team, and I found myself really unmotivated to you knew you're going to get kicked in the nuts every week because the car wasn't very good. So I found myself not very motivated to try to get better myself. So I started meeting with a sports psychologist. She gives me these small, tangible things that I can do every weekend that didn't matter how fast or slow the car went.
Yeah.
And these little pennies you just stack got my mindset shifted.
Yes.
To work on my craft and get better. So what sort of pennies have you stacked or mental approaches have you changed along the way?
Yeah, the biggest one was in 22, which never got mad on the radio or upset with a result or too disappointed. You can't help but be disappointed on Monday.
Yeah.
When you had a great opportunity, but just tried to extract the absolute most out of every situation and not be so much result driven. Like if you're thinking the whole time in a race that I must win, you're going to have a lot of mistakes. But if you're thinking I'm just going to execute every lap, every corner to the best of my ability in the situation that it is, you're going to have a much more satisfying season and enjoy your racing more. The expectation, you got to manage those expectations. It's only one person wins every weekend. It's the big part of racing is the mental aspect. It really is perspective. Really having the right perspective. You can't just think the world owes you everything. You're lucky to be there and you're lucky to do it.
They say 90% of this mental and the rest is in your head. That's what I've heard.
Babe Ruth
dead on. Did he?
That's Babe Ruth says 90% mental, the other half's in your head.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, that's what it, obviously you got to be very physically fit and have trained well.
Yeah,
and all, but mentally.
Oh, the self-confidence, the visualization.
Big time.
Yeah.
All that stuff. All that stuff. The subconscious is so accurate and strong. So accurate, incredibly accurate, your subconscious. But your conscious mind is sort of the captain of the ship. It's what you're focusing on is exactly what your subconscious mind will do. It'll do whatever you
will it to.
It to. Yeah. It's crazy how accurate the subconscious. Oh, yeah. That's why you see humans do incredible things.
That's right.
Just things that you can't, you couldn't really consciously do. You see some of these guys. I've seen these guys that shoot the coin. That's totally a subconscious thing.
What?
When a guy flips a coin and then shoots it.
That's not a conscious thing.
That's the most insane thing I've seen. But that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I've seen some humans do some crazy things that you can't really explain, but you can because it's, your subconscious is very, very accurate.
And in IndyCar, you don't have much time to think about anything.
Yeah.
No, you got to, I mean, in all racing, it's when the flow comes, it just flows.
I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to talk about that.
The flow, it just happens for you. That's the subconscious just unrolling for you. You get in that state.
That's what it's hard to articulate about race car driving, and you can't simulate the sensation, I don't think, anywhere else. It's it is a dance between subconscious thinking and conscious thinking, right?
Yes.
You're thinking about consciously, okay, what's my car doing? How do I adjust it going forward? Meanwhile, your subconscious is the one that's actually doing the work.
Just feeling, little corrections like this is going where it's a big deal if you understand it.
Is there a moment where you felt like the most flow state you've ever? Is there a moment that sticks out, or
There's
generally every
a
weekend?
couple of moments. It's been Indy 500. I had that. I reckon I had that in 18 in the Indy 500 when I won it. So with the car, it was just not even a doubt in my mind that I was going to have an issue, like as far as catching it or feeling every little footprint of the tire. The other one was at Chicagoland in, I want to say it's probably 2010 or 2011. It might have been 2010. And it was pack racing. And I was having the most insane. I started the race and almost lost it, man. Like, well, I was like full lock, gone. And the car sort of just straightened me up and just like went yellow. That's how sideways I was. It was like a caution. And then I got in the flow, and it's just, you never lifted, but you're side drafting. Obviously the car, you set them up very free there. So, that was just faster. And this with Dan Weldon, I was just like, we were almost touching just on the white line around, like, but the state I got in is like, I didn't even have to think about correcting the car, and it was just so in the moment. It was, I just still go back to that times. Like, I don't think I've been in a state like that since. It was just so intense and so insanely focused. You just locked into a flow state. Great place to be, but when cautions fall or radio, like, things happen, it sort of interrupts it. But that was just one race I remember in particular. We didn't get the bloody fuel, and we're going to win it. We're going to bloody either win it or second. And Dario, who I was fighting for the championship, we came in and he didn't take tires. We did. We didn't really need to take tires, and we didn't get all the fuel in. I had to pit and ended up nowhere, in the last few laps. But
Got any kids?
Yeah, I've got an 8-year-old,
Boy or girl?
Boy, yeah.
Oh, is he going to race?
I don't know. I put him in a little go-kart last couple of days.
You own a go-kart company, don't you?
Yeah. No. I don't have
to?
that. I did have a kart for a while, my own brand, but no, I don't know what he'll do. Yeah, kid's best thing ever, man. I would have had 4 if I could. We just had a lot of issues, but
I got 3.
Yeah, you're lucky. Better than racing, better than everything.
That's the best.
The best thing you'll do is have a family, have kids. No, I love it. I wish I had more, but I don't know what he'll do. He might be into music or something.
How do you create, like, it seems to be a common characteristic of Australians and the couple New Zealanders I know, like, that are pursuing a professional path, particularly in motorsports, are uber driven and focused. Is that coincidence that I just find myself around these guys like Will Brown, Will Power, SVG, Scotty Mack? Do I only see the tip of the spear, or is it just a general characteristic of being Australian that makes you, like, intense as hell?
I guess the people that do make it overseas probably have that
drive,
that personality that drives you to success in sports or that sort of thing. To stay in the sport, do all that, you kind of got to be pretty focused and driven. You're not going to stay in very long if you're not.
Yeah.
I think it's just a characteristic. I would say most drivers are sort of like that, right? Like,
I'd agree.
Top level guys or anyone who makes it top level in motorsport's pretty driven. They're all, Van Gisbergen, McLaughlin, Will Brown. I mean, they're all top level guys. Bloody good drivers.
How's Will do this weekend?
I don't know how much the car matters.
A lot.
It matters a lot on the road course. Yeah. He's definitely capable of being. Is he in Cup?
He's in Cup. Yeah, he's driving Colleague 13, so it's a third car for them. But
middle to lower tier team. I don't know a good comparison on the IndyCar.
But the good thing about the Cup stuff right now is, like, I'm sure IndyCar was the same way with this new car. Any team can hit it.
No joke.
And Colleague's been better than they have been. So, and he's got Allmendinger there with their notes and Shane's notes from last year. So
it could be interesting. A lot of good guys in Cup, man. Like, it's tough to ever say someone's gonna win.
No doubt. Do you watch much?
Yeah, I do. When our races don't overlap, I usually watch the highlights if I can't.
Yeah.
Man, there's so many good drivers in Cup. It's crazy. It's like the depth of that field is
It's deep, buddy.
very, very deep. But those guys also get on the road course and, are as quick as guys like Van Gisberg. And, you get these guys who've just done ovals all their life, but they're still bloody
The tools now,
faster. Like,
No
they're
weaknesses
just
anymore.
Yeah.
incredible, man. Great to see. I just love watching high level series like that. It's just such good stuff. The road course races in Cup, man, are bloody
Brutal.
Epic.
They're brutal.
They're brutal. I mean,
Epic. You never know who's going to win till the end. I mean, it's bloody. It's the best stuff.
well, you got guys driving through the grass, smash into each other.
Oh my god! Do the fans love the road courses?
Watkins
oval?
Glen packs it out every year.
Yeah,
seems to
I
do
kind of
pretty well.
wonder like how, because they've slowly added more.
They're exciting, man, and they're fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're
bloody
incredibly
great.
fun as a driver. But
Yeah,
Sonoma has always had a strong crowd.
The ones we've
Yeah.
added too have gotten us to markets where we needed to be. So it does.
yeah,
It does twofold.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
What about the Arlington race? That's going to be kind of sick. Dude.
That will be, it looks like a great street course. It really does. And they've got big money behind it, so it's going to be a good event. I think, since Penske Entertainment has taken over and started to take over these events, they're going to be, slowly get rid of events that don't have potential, I suppose, and start having events like that. I mean,
That's a big one.
It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But I hope I'm there driving, man.
I hope you are too, but
I'm sure you will
man, we literally could sit here all day and talk. But I got
Yeah.
3 questions I'm going to ask you, like we ask all of our guests. If you had to pick one, you've driven a lot of cars, as you mentioned here. But if you had to pick only one of them and a track to race at the rest of your life, what do you race?
It would be the cars I've driven. It would be
No, any of them.
any car ever.
One
Yep.
car, one track. Rest of your life, you pick whatever you want.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. It'd be sort of I feel like it'd be the sort of mid 2000s or early 2000s Formula One car. You drive the Ferrari at a track like Silverstone, high speed corners. Yeah, I think that would be
Sick.
very, very
Yeah.
nice car.
Teammates with Michael Schumacher too.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
That would be
Yeah.
sick.
It could be frustrating.
Yeah, trying to
How
catch
the hell
that
is this guy
too.
so fast?
Yeah, could be very frustrating. Or have a teammate like Verstappen.
Yeah.
It's
destroys-
impossible. It's impossible.
It's like anyone who gets that seat, it's like, your career's done, dude.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
done. Yeah, cool.
You're
Congrats
never
on
gonna
making it
Yuki.
to your dream ride. You're
Yeah.
question number 2. What's your most embarrassing moment at the racetrack?
Oh, it was actually a bad moment. It was Scott Dixon, and there's a couple with Dixon, unfortunately. One was in Baltimore, and a restart. I got an awesome restart. I'm getting a run on the guy in front, Bourdais, and I thought, I didn't even look in my mirror. There's no way anyone got a better restart than that. Pull out, and he's already here. Put him in both in the wall, and he was in the championship. I felt bloody bad because he was actually fighting my teammate in the championship, Elio, and so it looked really bad for me. I was like, man, I promise. I didn't even. I just thought he must have got the most ridiculous restart you've ever seen. There's that, and then there's a driver meeting with Dixon last year at Road America, where I just it was after Indy 500, and I got like 5 penalties at Detroit the race before, and he didn't get a penalty at Indy for driving Hunter around the grass and crash. Scott's a very fair driver, and it wouldn't have been deliberate. But I went off. I sat next to him at the driver meeting. There was no other seat.
Oh, gosh.
And I told my teammates...
This guy!
Yeah, I told my teammates before it that I'm going to pound race control for not penalizing Dixon at Indy. And there's only one seat left. I sat next to him. I was like, oh. And then the race director said, is there any questions of the last 2 races you guys want to
Did you stand up?
bring up? I was like, When I sat next to him, I sat down. And he's like, "Oh, hey, bro." I was like, "This is going to be interesting." I actually said that. I think I asked one of the teammates, and I think they were all amused that I actually did it while sitting next to him.
I mean,
and I just went on and on about, how, he's treated differently to everyone. It's this bloody whole spiel.
And then what'd you do?
Everyone couldn't believe it.
Did you like sit back down and look
No,
at him?
I didn't stand up. I was just sitting there saying it.
Hey, good luck today.
He's sitting right there. It was so...
Was he like looking at you the whole time? Like,
and I wanted to apologize him for the rest of the year, but I was in the championship racing Polo for the championship. So I didn't want to go and apologize to him thinking that I'm sort of apologizing so he wouldn't take me out or...
Yeah.
To treat. So I waited till after the championship was over and then said, man, I felt bad about it. I don't know why I did that. I said, I got 5 penalties in Detroit and you didn't get penalized. So I thought race control was picking on. It was more directed at race control than him. But that was,
you've had a couple quarrels with race control in your day.
That was, I have got fines for him, flipping them off and this sort of thing.
Did they fine you per middle finger?
It was like 15 grand a finger.
What? I just want to know what the conversation with Roger is after that.
Well,
hey, we'll knock.
The one in New Hampshire where I flipped off race control. So Cindric, I went in the bus. I had no idea. He's walking with me and I'm carrying on. These guys, all this sort of stuff. And I said, "Where's race control anyway?" And he points up there, and I flip him off. And I went back to the motorhome and thinking everything's fine. I was like, he said, "Don't do that." When I did it, there's cameras. I said, "No, they won't see us. We're behind the fence." And sure enough, there it is all over TV. So he's like, "You got to call all the sponsors now and apologize." But
you weren't flipping the sponsors off. You were just flipping race control.
Yeah. No, it was. But man, everyone when I walked out of the paddock cheered and clapped.
A lot of times the sponsors will go, "Oh, it's cool. I liked it."
Yeah, some did. Some Verizon guy CEO was like, you got to remember who's on your chest, man. Yeah. But apparently Greg Penske handed Roger the phone of the thing because they'd taken off.
Yeah.
And the guy in the car that was with them said Roger sort of looked, laughed, and then gave it back. So that's all I heard. He didn't say anything to me about it. But at the time I was winning a lot of races, so it wouldn't fly now. I'd probably be fired immediately. 2011, I think. 2011.
Kurt was still driving then, so you were
2011.
You were like,
that was just me with a flesh wound. Kurt was still driving.
Who's that?
Kurt was still driving.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he was at Penske. Yeah, it's kind of helped me out a little.
You were the least of the worst.
Yeah, that was a dumpster fire every week.
Yeah.
Where was it where you were pushing that old boy through at practice recently?
That was Detroit. Yeah. It was...
you got to go, man.
I was on a good lap, and he stopped at the apex, and we already touched. It wasn't like out of sort of anger. I touched him.
Just got to go.
And then I thought, well, he's going to go, and I just kept pushing. I was like, oh, this is actually working. I just kept pushing, and then pushing him out of the way. And then just kept going without... It was... Yeah, I wouldn't do it again. I mean, the race... They said in the next driver meeting that won't be tolerated. But it's crazy you can do that in an IndyCar.
Yeah.
You could just move him out of the way. It sort of
bizarre.
Surprised me.
Yeah. It was almost like once
the old tool belt.
Who was it?
Yeah. That was Kirkwood.
Okay.
I thought it was someone else. He had a car like Ericsson, but not that mattered.
Sick of seeing that guy win.
Yeah. Oh man, it was. Yeah, it was funny. I actually, unfortunately, laughed on the TV after, but it was like we were doing 10, 5, man, the bottom of the first gear.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not like people go, "Oh, it's dangerous." Like, man, and I was controlling him well. I wasn't going to actually wreck him. It was not a good idea, though. Shouldn't do that. Shouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it again.
Well, I'm glad you did once at least. Last question.
It was funny, interesting.
You'll get this Men in Black. Have you seen the movie Men in Black?
Yeah.
From years ago? Okay, so the memory zapping pen. If I had that pen and I zapped all of your racing memories and you only got to keep one from your entire career, what do you keep?
You keep, I think you keep the Indy 500 win. Yeah. Yeah, I'll never forget that day. Yeah, very, very cool.
We've never been to the race.
No.
No, I want to go so bad.
Yeah, it's an amazing event just by the sheer number of people there on that day. To see every stand full is pretty crazy when you've sort of tested there the whole month, and then you walk out a gasoline alley on race morning, and that sound.
So you win, right? You win the race, and you do all the pageantry, and you got the wreath, and you got the milk. What kind of milk did you go with?
No, I think it was whole milk. I asked for chocolate milk. There was that option when I first started racing there in 08, I think.
They wanted you to go full test, full diesel milk.
Yeah.
But so, all right, you did the pictures and the media for what seems like days, but like, what is the feeling when you get like a loan for the first time, or you and the wife? It's quiet. It's like, is it elation? Is it like, ooh?
Massive satisfaction and a weight off my shoulders. Massive, like very, very satisfying. And every now and then that thought would kick in of, oh, you haven't won the 500 yet. I was like, no, yeah, I have. Like, that's how often it was playing in my mind.
Was your 8-year-old born, 9 months to the day after that win?
Oh, yeah, no.
Especially in a Penske car.
Yeah.
Right? There is, when you're in a Penske car, you're just like.
An expectation.
Like you said, it's like more, as happy as you are, it's like, okay, I got that off my back.
Big relief. Yeah, big relief.
Do you get the big Borg Warner trophy? Do you?
No. You get your face on that. You get a baby Borg.
Okay.
Yeah, which has your
And
face
you don't
on
wear
it
your
as
ring.
well.
You don't wear your little.
No, I don't wear the ring. I mean, yeah, maybe I should. I've got it, man.
Yeah, whip that
I
thing
got
out
it.
every now
I don't
and
have to.
Is that like a 24-hour Daytona or anything?
No. That's just a 40th birthday present
Just
for my
bang
wife.
around, Rolly.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Well, it's the only one I ever wanted, but I never would buy it.
Yeah.
Wife. I'd always be with a wife, and we'd look and see it. Say, man, I love that blue face. I'm not going to pay for something like that.
Yeah.
And she bought it for me at my 40th.
Let's
so
go.
That was it.
There you go. Well, great conversation.
Yeah, we
really
could talk all
appreciate
day. I
coming
think
in.
we could bench race all day.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you could hear this entire interview on YouTube. If you're hearing little snippets on just the episode this week, go to the YouTube channel and listen to the whole thing. So much great stuff. Will Power joining us on Stacking Pennies. Thank you, and good luck the rest of the year. Break up that damn Kirkwood and Pillow party, will you?
Oh man, that's the goal.
What's next week?
Deal.
Sorry, I don't know.
It's Mid-Ohio this weekend. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You've won there.
Winning, I have. Yeah. Things would help me a lot if I won a race right now.
Winning
Big time.
solves all.
It does, big time.
Yes, it does. Well, everybody
Yeah.
follow along with Will Power this weekend at Mid-Ohio. Thanks for stopping by Stacking Pennies.